Kings, queens, and in-betweens, welcome back to the City Boys podcast. If you are new here, though, welcome. All are welcome here. We're going to start with a new section of content on our channel where we're going over MLS clubs before the start of the 2025 season, and we're doing that because we wouldn't feel right covering them in the 2025 season without doing a little bit of history ourselves. I am joined by two of my best friends, Ethan and Grayson. Ethan, how are we doing tonight, brother?
Of course, family, it's another day in paradise. We're going to be some of the most knowledgeable MLS podcasters that you can imagine, and I'm excited to share that with everyone. Grayson, how are you doing?
Hey guys, I'm doing pretty good. It's freezing cold out here in Columbia, Missouri right now. Couple inches of snow on the ground. So I got I got my overalls on. I'm all prepped, but it's nice and warm inside and I'm ready to talk about a certain club. Jacob, would you like to introduce that club for the evening?
Yeah, so our first episode of this one, we're going to be covering none other than the San Jose Earthquakes. We're going to be covering some history, notable facts, notable players, past and present, and then we're going to be looking at what they've done over the last couple years and trying to predict how they might be able to do in the future. Disclaimer though, if you are a San Jose Earthquakes fan, you know more than we do about your team. So feel
Almost
free to
certainly.
educate us in the
Yeah.
comments down below. But I think Ethan's going to kick us off with some history.
I am, and gentlemen, I'm really excited because we are actually dealing with one of the founding members of the MLS. That's right. Back in 1996, the Earthquakes joined as an original member. However, to go
OG.
back to the start of the Earthquakes history, you got to go back even further, back to the 70s in 1974, when the franchise was awarded to the NASL to Yugoslavian businessman Milan Mandaric. All right. And
Good
so
job.
at the time, they played their games at Spartan Stadium on San Jose State's campus. I think that's a really endearing part of the U.S. soccer at the time. They competed in the NASL for 11 seasons until it folded in 1984. They were known as the San Jose Clash for a stint, a few ups and downs in the 90s and 80s of U.S. soccer that a lot of clubs went through. But in 1996, they were known as the San Jose Clash in the inaugural MLS season. They had a very cool mascot named Jose Clash. The Scorpion did not unfortunately see it to the present day, but I will always show that guy some love. They
Kind of
actually
looks like a lobster, honestly.
he does.
But he
He
is
does.
terrifying.
That red color is not doing Jose any favors. But the Clash actually did win their opening match. They featured a squad that had Eric Winalda, a U.S. men's national team legend, and former owner John Doyle. Similar to an MLS club that we love very much, they made the playoffs in their opening season. They did change back to the San Jose Earthquakes that we know and love in 1999 and would go on to actually win their first piece of silverware in 2001 when they won the MLS Cup. Then in 2003, they actually made one of the greatest playoff runs ever, or at least the greatest comeback. The San Jose versus LA Galaxy California Classico of 2003 is one of the greatest MLS games ever, and I'm convinced they win the MLS Cup 4-2 after going 2-0 down in the first half. Really inspiring game that
That's awesome.
features Landon Donovan in it.
Wow.
Speaking of Landon Donovan, another American soccer name that I'm sure the San Jose Earthquake fans love, Alexi Lalas would take over as the manager at one point of the Earthquakes. And while Landon Donovan was briefly in Germany, Alexi Lalas traded away his rights, enabling the Galaxy, Lalas's former team, to be able to acquire him.
Fishy.
Sneaky bit of business there, Alexis. But thank you very much.
Yeah, potentially a bit of Agent Lalas in there. Maybe he
Potentially.
he got something done, but I could really use some assistance from the San Jose Earthquake fans on this one because in 2005, after that season ended, it looks like the San Jose Earthquakes went on a hiatus because the ownership group elected to move the team to Houston, and so this is actually how we got the Houston Dynamo in 2006. But I don't know how San Jose retained all of their name, colors, logo, watermark, all this stuff. If someone could please explain this to me, I would love that. It would be super helpful. But Eventually, the San Jose Earthquakes came back after just a quick pause. You can think of it like the blip from Avengers. They were back, and that pretty much brings us up to present days for the San Jose Earthquakes. They actually did win the Supporters Shield in 2012, as well as the Western Conference division. So that's a solid year in 2012. They have a pretty decent list of notable players and one character that we have to go over. But I think probably the club's most notable player that not a lot of people will know is that George Best used to play for them. They played for them for 2 seasons while they were in the NASL. He scored 21 goals, 21 assists, and scored what is considered to this day to be the club's best goal. He absolutely went off. To be fair, probably not an exaggeration to say that these guys were playing soccer on the side at the time, but
George Best versus a bunch of plumbers.
like there is someone out there who played on the San Jose Earthquakes in the 80s who can say that they guarded George Best, and that's very, very cool. Of
Guarded
course,
or stood next to
stood on the same field at the very least. All right. Of course, their all-time leading goal scorer, Chris Wondolowski, is a very notable player, had a very long career in the MLS and the U.S. men's national team. Landon Donovan is actually their third all-time leading goal scorer. I know that me personally, when I think of Landon Donovan in the MLS, it's the LA Galaxy through and through. So this was shocking to me. Another notable player that I had to throw in here just for sentimentality purposes, Quincy Amarikwa. He had 2 stints with the team and used to play for the Fire, our boy Jacob's former favorite club. Jimmy Conrad used to play for them. Brad Davis, a St. Louisan, played for them. Dwayne De Rosario, the very famous Canadian defensive midfielder. More presently, Cade Cowell played for them. On the flip side of that coin, a U.S. men's national team legend, like I mentioned earlier, Eric Winalda, was with them for their inaugural season. Another St. Louis legend, Buzz Demling, who played at St. Louis University while they were winning championships in the 70s. And not a player, but a very notable figure for the club, if you ask me, Crazy George. All right. Now, this guy never scored a goal or made an assist, but what price can you put on team morale? Because Crazy George is the inventor of the wave. So this guy was he started the wave. But that's not all he did.
It never stopped.
Just for the whole game, 90 minutes. He was really just a fan booster, but he was one of their OG ultras. So I don't want to hear anything about American soccer ultras or supporter group culture in this country, because we have one of the supporters, Crazy George.
The GOAT. The GOAT fan.
Look it up. He invented the wave. I promise you. He used to be employed by the San Jose Earthquakes. They paid him $35 a game to bang that drum and get the crowd riled up. Hey, it's a good gig. That's a good gig.
It's a great gig.
So that is the history lesson that I have for y'all with some notable players. I'm sure there are many more notable players that I missed. The club just had their 50th anniversary and did a long list of the 50 greatest Quakes. So I'm sure there's some that I didn't show any love, but those are some notable players that I found.
Yeah, very interesting history for San Jose. But yeah, they're certainly one of the OGs, been around forever. And yeah, when it comes to their more recent times, it's not been going great. But we are going to talk about some notable players that are playing for them right now. So I'm going to go ahead and break down their squad for you. Based on the stats from last season, MLS 2024, I've got their top scorer here, which is Amal Pellegrino. He's a tall, pretty lanky winger from Norway. Player comp, I would kind of player comp him to Alex Isak. Of course, it's very generous. It's just his play style. Very lanky guy who can dribble. But he notched 7 goals and 4 assists in his debut season in the MLS, which it's respectable. It's not crazy. But he's coming off 2 back-to-back 32-goal seasons in the Norwegian top flight with Bodo Glimt.
Wow.
So if he can find anywhere close to that form again, I think he will definitely come good. He's definitely a lethal finisher. He loves to find the bottom corner of the goal, slot it home. He's a great dribbler, as I mentioned before. He loves to round the keeper, and he's pretty agile for a pretty lanky guy. But I think that this season it was pretty rough for him. 7 goals is respectable, but if you look at his career, he's much more proficient. I think he will come good this next season. Granted that Bruce Arena, the new head
Yeah.
coach, finds some way to better utilize him. He does play left wing. I actually thought he was a striker, but he is a left winger. I think that he'll be much better next season as long as they can build better around him. But based on that, I actually think he will improve his goal tally to double digits next season. But what do you guys think? Do you guys remember watching Amal Pellegrino?
Personally, I don't remember. That's not a knock on him or anything.
Yeah.
When you
He
said
didn't have the best game against STL either.
Yeah, when you said Pellegrino, I thought you might be talking sparkling water. I had no idea
Yeah.
32 goal seasons in Norway though, it seems extremely prolific. I'm sure
Yeah.
that that doesn't happen on accident. You don't score
No.
32 goals 2 years in a row on accident. So I would not be surprised if he can bag 10 for them.
Yeah, he's definitely got an impressive highlight reel on YouTube, so you can go check it out.
I will.
But moving on, we're going to cover the top assister for San Jose last season. When we're talking San Jose, it's no doubt who their best player is right now, and that would be Christian Espinosa. After signing from Boca Juniors, he's been a staple in the San Jose offense. Last season, he added an impressive 14 goals in all, or 14 assists in all competitions.
Wow.
He had 13 goals the year before that in all comps. So he seems to improve every year. But I think if he can find his goal scoring form from last season, the assisting form from this season, he can become definitely an all-around player. Mostly plays on the right wing for San Jose. Really impressive creator. So I think the best thing for San Jose to do is one, sign a striker, two, figure out their midfield. And we know it's definitely a fact that their defense needs a lot of help. Last season, we chatted about their center back, Brazilian center back Rodriguez, as well as their left back Vitor Costa. Carlos Acapa was a right back. It was a super hard fought season for their back line. They're definitely hoping to improve upon it in 2025, and they already have made a couple signings. Um, they've signed a City Boys fan favorite, David Romney, from New England Revolution. He's an interesting one. I think he will be a starting center back for them. I struggle to see if that's an improvement in their back line. I feel like it's more of a lateral step.
Well
But
said.
definitely an improvement is re-signing Nick Lima from Austin
Yeah.
FC. That is a good look. But yeah, I still think they need one maybe bigger center back signing to help lock down that back line if they're gonna improve because they conceded 78 goals last season. So definitely a number that
Wow.
they are gonna want to chop down a little bit.
Yeah, it's too
Wow.
high.
Yeah. Yeah. Moving into their keeper room, they have a keeper that we got to see twice this season who actually gave us a little bit of a headache, even though we put two past him in the first match. That would be Mr. Yarborough.
Yeah.
Um, and he's decent. He's 35 years old now.
Wow.
And this was his first season in San Jose. after they signed him from Colorado. So I was actually surprised to see that this was his first season there. But I think he was their starting goalkeeper this season. He had about 22 games in him. San Jose also utilized their Brazilian keeper, Daniel, who got 13 matches in 2024. I think goalkeeper is definitely a spot that San Jose is going to look to um, bolster in this window. Maybe what I think is going to happen is they're going to rock Yarborough again this next season and then go from there is what most likely is going to happen. Probably see some more caps for Daniel as well, he cost them a pretty penny, but hasn't had a lot of time in net.
We've
But
also like seen keepers in the twilights of their career still be rock solid. So I think that's a good
true.
shout that they're gonna rock with him for this next season.
Yep. Yeah. I just don't see it. It wasn't a great season for him. Of course, it's hard to have a good season when your back line is looking like that, but it is what it is. Honorable mentions. I want to shout out a couple players that aren't top goal scorers, aren't top assisters, but pretty solid. Hernan Lopez is definitely the next best on the squad.
Yep.
Had an impressive goal line this season as well. I think he had 7 goals in all competitions, 6 goals in the league,
Wow.
right behind Pellegrino for top scorer. He plays as their number 10. So definitely on that more creative side. And there was a lot of movement from San Jose so far in this transfer window. Obviously, bringing in the new head coach, Bruce Arena, he's got his work cut out for him. And he got to work pretty fast, signing a couple different players. They've moved on from a couple big names like Jackson Ewell and long-term striker Jeremy Aboasi.
I have to say that those were two players mentioned in their best 50 list as well, both Jackson Ewell and Jeremy Obobasi. So they are potentially moving into a new era in San Jose
Mm,
right now.
definitely rebuilding. Who else do they move on from? They moved on from center back Tanner Beeson, a couple of signings that they've picked up. So far, they've signed Mark Anthony Kay as he continues his, journey all around the MLS. This has got to be his fourth or fifth team in the MLS. They also signed Ian Harkes, central defensive mid to fill in Jackson Ewell's shoes there. But with Austin FC, or sorry, with Austin FC actually picking up a player that San Jose was linked to previously, being Brandon Vasquez, I foresee that San Jose will be making a striker signing. Right now, they have a couple academy guys that can fill in the spot, but if they're already being linked to Brandon Vasquez, I definitely think they are lacking in that area. And if they want to improve, they're going to need a striker. So we will see what happens there. But last but not least, let's cover some team statistics. Jacob, what do you got for us?
Yeah, so also another disclaimer, we're recording this episode early January. So
Mm,
if you watch this slash listen to this and a move has already taken place, it hadn't taken place when we recorded it. So bear with us.
true, true.
Um, but last season, San Jose finished dead last in the Western Conference and in the overall standings of the Supporter Shield with a 6-win, 3-draw, and 25 loss record, which is impressive in all of the wrong ways,
Yeah.
unfortunately, for San Jose. They
Yeah.
ended the season with a total of 21 points, which they were pretty much out of playoff contention halfway through the season, unfortunately for them.
Yeah.
Now, I put together some over/under thoughts for them because there aren't any like officially out listed, but with the bump of a new manager and definitely going to be signing another striker, and with Pellegrino probably putting up double-digit numbers, I'm going to put the question to you guys. Do we think that San Jose is a playoff team, a bubble team, or not in the playoffs? I'll start with you, Ethan.
I'm gonna say as it stands right now, San Jose is not a playoff team for the time being. They would need to have major player and tactical improvements in the time before now and the season begins, which I just don't foresee happening. I don't mean to rub it in San Jose. I don't know if they'll be the worst team in the league next year, but I don't foresee them making it into the playoffs.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to second that, Ethan. San Jose is definitely not a playoff team, but it's definitely not a bubble team. They are gonna be sitting near the bottom of the table. I do think they improved slightly, but I still think they have a long way to go. Like Ethan just said, there's a lot of stuff behind the scenes. They have solid players. They need the tactics, they need the man management behind them. Of course, they just signed Bruce Arena, who, love him or hate him, is kind of an MLS legend. He knows
Yeah.
the league
Yep.
inside and out. But what I think San Jose needs is not a, an older MLS manager. I think they need something new. Bruce Arena is definitely not the cutting edge of soccer. So I think that they're gonna improve, but they're gonna need a lot of work to become a playoff team.
Yeah, I agree with both of you. I don't have them as a playoff team. I think with Bruce Arena, for all the things you mentioned, he's going to get this team to a point where they're going to be hard to play against, but not
Mm.
necessarily getting wins in like multitudes. I have them out of the playoffs, maybe starting to scratch at like bottom bubble team tier list. But then I've also got their over under wins at 7.5. So are you taking the over or the under on their total wins on the season? They ended last year with 6 wins.
Six. I don't. I think I might go for the under here. I don't know if they can win more than 7 games. That's where I'm at.
That might be a very sharp pick. They might win exactly 7 games next year.
That's a pretty good
Yeah,
line.
it's so hard. That's such a line because part of me is thinking if they improve slightly, they win two more games than last season. It's 8 games. I'm taking the over, but it's not going to be pretty.
I'm with you, Ethan. I'm on the under. I think they're going to end right at 7 wins. I would not be surprised though if this is like a 10 win and what would that leave? A 10 win and a 17 loss team. Like that would not surprise me in the slightest.
My thing
Only
is
three
that
draws on the season from last year, too. It's
Yeah.
impressive.
well, I think they're just kind of one of those black and white teams, you know. They either won a game, got played out of the park fairly early. My thing is,
Mm,
I don't know of 7 worse teams in the MLS than San Jose. And
yeah,
granted, they not to say that they can't play up and beat someone above their level. Maybe they even sneak one in the California Classico against the LA Galaxy, for example. Like, I don't know, but I don't see them outplaying a team 7 times this year. And I
yeah,
realize I'm probably being a little harsh, but I don't.
I
yeah. I
think
think,
it's
sorry.
harsh, but like it's fair. If like looking at all the things we've talked about on San Jose, I think they're looking at 2 seasons from now as being their time to like really
Agreed.
go for it, like really get the core of the team established and an identity and like locker room chemistry before really making a run at things and just trying to be like a gritty pain in the butt team. Not necessarily you don't want to play San Jose, but you're not getting out of San Jose unscathed.
Yeah, I think they're going to improve, but at the same time, the rest of the MLS is going to try to improve as well. So it's going to be hard for the
Okay.
season.
I've got their over under on total goals scored at 39.5. I think they ended with 42, so I kind of dropped the line a little bit to be more achievable. I'm personally going to take the over. I agree. I think Pellegrino is going to step up this year, which is going to increase their team goal total. So I'm going to take the over on 39.5 goals scored this season.
I will follow
Yeah,
that,
I'm good.
Jacob. Yeah, just
Same.
because
I'll match that.
yeah, it looks like they did score above that last season. If they have a player that can score above 10 goals in Pellegrino, I think that will be a huge boost as well. Yeah, and hopefully they have a young player or an academy player that's coming through that has some kind of potential because if they did let Cade Cowell go to Mexico and he seems to be balling. I'm not sure. I'm not sure how many goals they'll score next year, but I think it'll be over 39 and a half.
Yeah, not much to say there. I think Christian Espinosa, Hernan Lopez, and Pellegrino are solid. It's it really this all counters on if they sign a striker or not. If they sign a striker who is good, over. If they let one of their academy players fill in the blanks, I'm taking the under. It's not going to happen.
I need a decisive answer from you right now, though.
Right now, I'm taking, since they have not signed a striker, I'm taking the under.
Okay, fair. And then I've got their player of the season next year, their Wonder Boy, as Pellegrino for all the things we mentioned. I see good things for Pellegrino in the future.
You
If
know,
you're gonna buy a San Jose kit with a name on the back, might as well buy a Pellegrino kit.
you're going for Pellegrino.
Yeah.
I might take Hernan Lopez, dude. He is still pretty young. I think so. He's like still working his way, but into his prime, but he has that flash and flair on the ball that is really exciting. That makes soccer that makes you just sit forward a little bit, when he gets the ball. So that's my pick is gonna be Hernan Lopez.
I'm gonna give a little MVP. This is definitely not gonna happen because when has a fullback won MVP? But Nick Lima is gonna definitely make a mark in that back line for San Jose. People are gonna love him.
Cool. Well, unless you guys have any other factoids about San Jose, that basically concludes our breakdown of San Jose and our preview for them next year. Our next episode out soon is going to be on the Chicago Fire, so stay tuned for that.
Ooh.
If you are watching on YouTube, make sure you like, subscribe, and comment. If you are listening on Spotify, make sure you rate 5 stars and drop a follow. And most importantly, for our new viewers out there, our most important call to action is to make sure you tell your mothers that you love them. Peace. I don't think
San Jose.
MLS.